What's up, guys? We're back with another podcast, and we have our resident nutrition coach, Annie, in the house, and we're going to be talking all things nutrition today. We went into the weeds just on starting out as a nutrition coach for Annie, where she kind of found her feet, what she likes to work with, common mistakes that people make with nutrition, some things that we talked about, which are the best course of action when you're working with a nutrition coach to take full control of your nutrition and of your results. And then in between all that, we went on a lot of tangents and fielded some questions at the end. So stick around for those because we went some places with them. As always, this is your opportunity to hit the subscribe button. So do it now, please. And as always, feedback, comments, share the podcast, get the message out there. We do appreciate it. Okay, let's get to the episode. The Maltese genes are just too strong though. It's just like there's none.
They seem strong.
Yeah, if my mum and I stand side by side, it's like...
Is your mum the Maltese one? Or
no,
no,
it's a cow.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really look alike.
Oh.
I look like my dad.
Is she small and white?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always so funny.
Yeah, she's probably 50 kilos bringing wet.
What?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I guess you weren't born this size.
No, absolutely not. Supposed to be like a little Maltese man. Yeah, a little.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just push the genetic boundaries, It's like, you can do whatever you want, man. You can be whoever you want to be.
You don't have to be Maltese anymore.
Hey, Annie, give me your feet.
My feet.
Send feet pics.
That'll cost you.
Wowzers. Did not get... Tem, what size are you? What size?
Oh my God! Wait a sec.
What size?
Yours is super sporty.
I'll stretch him.
Wow.
Same.
Oh, Jesus.
Are yours the chunky ones?
Kind of making me want to wear them.
Have you got a pair?
Nah. What if I have a pair?
Oh my God, he didn't even let you finish the sentence.
I have a pair.
He's like, oh.
Get out of here.
Do it.
That's what everyone says.
I don't want to ride the wave at the end.
I don't think there is an end, I'll be honest.
Look.
It's not a wave, Jay. It's just join the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I feel like...
Because waves go out of trend.
The comfortable arch support Kool-Aid.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I feel like I'm riding the wave at the end, so I'm not getting in on it.
No.
It started as a phase and it's ended as a part of who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Okay.
promised myself not to make it my personality, and then I made it my personality.
I already have too many things that are that. I don't know if
like
I
an
can
actual
add...
personality.
Or just things
Must
that
be
I've
nice.
made, just things that I've made
like?
to be part of my personality. So I don't know if I can add something else.
Yeah, that's
It's not
fair.
enough room.
You're just too well-rounded.
It's too much competition. To who I am. Tell you what, it's different.
It's
Just this room right now. All I can see is half-made shoes and socks.
There's so much ADHD and crock in one room.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Neurodivergency and rubber
Yeah.
up in this bitch.
I actually don't find them that comfy. They're just like slippers to me. So
Yeah.
I just chuck them on.
Don't say that because I see you in them all the time. You're just like,
I
they're not
was
that
going
comfy.
to say it's comfy to kick them off.
Yeah.
Like,
I've
that's
seen you
kind
go to
of
the
one
gym.
of the best.
I've seen
I
you
do
go
to the gym in them.
Yeah.
and you got
Only.
Do you just like
kicked
hose
out
them
of a
down?
gym once.
Is that
Yeah,
how
I
you
did.
train
It was so embarrassing.
I've
So
got
did you have to go
cloth
back
for
home,
them.
change shoes, and come
So
back?
I
With a crop
walked
cloth.
like 2Ks to get to that gym, and then was like, "Can I please have a casual entry?" And then
Like,
he was like, "Not
what are
those?"
We don't
And I was like, "But they're closed-toed." He's like, "What do you normally train in?" I was like, "These." He's like, "We can't.
We don't let
sorry."
people like you in here.
Yeah, you're fine. So then I went and bought a pair of sneakers, and then went back the next day.
Oh, to prove. Oh,
Not
really,
to prove, just
to
like
show
I
them.
needed to train.
I
Like,
have
was-
shoes.
I don't know.
I have shoes.
Yeah.
I
have a
can be
home
like your
and
show
a family
you.
that loves me.
I'll show you. It kind of really like pushes the grey area of the closed toe boundaries, right? Because
Yeah,
Nah.
because it's
yeah.
aerated.
It's
like,
aerated.
No, like I agree. They're not really.
Yeah, but
But when you,
what is that? Is that's got to be a shoe?
I still
yeah, like
refer
my
Yeah.
toe is covered.
And
like,
if you put the sports mode on it, they're not going
Exactly.
anywhere.
I was just
Yeah.
about to say she's got something on the back there, but you do too.
I just flicked it over. Yeah, when I do my
Mine are
calf races,
I'm wearing
I
my-
put them on.
I'm learning a lot right now.
I've got
Yours has a
platform.
peach on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got
Love that for you.
Yeah. So guys that are just, that little bit like missing out on height. They need the
No,
platform
we can't
version.
wear- not a man in croc heels.
Oh, babe,
know
I am
about that.
I'm so here for it.
There's not a chance that you would get the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah.
you can rock that.
Yeah.
That's
But
what happens when you're 5'4".
Yeah, but I just couldn't do it.
No, that's so fine. These are like my fancy Crocs. I got my
Yeah,
other Crocs.
You're going out Crocs.
These are
like to a wedding.
These are my special occasion Crocs.
Exactly. It's a podcast. I got to wear the pretty ones.
Isn't it funny how you could wear a pair of those like Vibrams though to the gym, and they'll be
Fuck
like,
Vibrams.
you know, they're like toe shoes.
Oh yeah,
No, hang
yeah,
on.
and they
Yeah.
fully separate.
But you could walk into the gym and they'll be like,
Hell yeah, get in
yeah,
here.
like, oh, come on,
yeah.
king.
Would you like to be a trainer here?
Yeah. But like, you wear those, it's like, oh, we can't.
Yeah,
let's-
I know.
can't
I
let you in
am-
with those.
Physically ill when I look at toe shoes.
I used to have a pair.
Really? Who were you then? What was
Just
that your personality then?
yeah.
Athlete Jason.
I'm a toe shoe guy.
Hey, look, to be fair, it's
Scrape
pretty
my
comfy.
toes.
Are you telling me that you would prefer to
don't-
wear a toe shoe
I
than
don't-
a
You were a
Croc?
fucking loser once.
Guys. I get compliments on my toe gaps all the time. All right, and it's like it's from, the toe
whom?
shoes.
Do you want to hold
Don't
hands?
say your wife.
Do you want to hold hands with me?
You guys can sit there with your mashed up feet.
There's
So much room.
Look,
There is
hey,
heaps of room.
You can sell it how you want. I don't care. and your poor feet muscles from your
Yeah.
spongy, from your 4-inch lifters there, and then I'll sit here with my nice feet muscles.
Is that why you were barefoot on the potty last week?
spreading
I just
your
thought I had
toes
to.
out.
I thought for the listeners out there, give them
Give
something to
the
look
people
forward
what
to.
they want.
Feet for free every now and then. Sometimes this is a charity.
Never
Link-
feet for free.
Sometimes,
Link in bio.
sometimes it's a charity.
It's toe shoes.
It's my lead magnet for the month. My feet.
How do you know when business isn't going well?
Just extra shoes
tell you
off
what.
in the podcast.
Yeah, you know business ain't going well. There's just less clothes.
Starts with the shoes.
All right, let's get this show back on the road.
Good morning.
Started?
The feet chat. Yeah, that's in.
Alrighty.
Yeah, Loz got wrecked.
The warm up.
Loz got wrecked last week. Tam wrecked her. That's the best.
With the
Yeah, with
the dating app one?
dating. Yes, yeah. You got it bad.
I know.
Yeah, she was mortified. It's great.
It was so. I turned it on and I was like, "Oh, we are straight into savage today. Good morning,
Yeah,
Laws."
Tam.
She's basically like, I don't date ugly people. And then the podcast kicked off.
That's the
To be fair, that's fine.
We're all about showing our authentic self.
You have to date whoever you want.
Yeah.
All right.
As long
Well,
as they're not ugly.
like I've. So same deal as last week. Everybody already knows, or everyone knows who you are. Everyone already knows who you are. I've already introduced you. Now again, how that happens is up to you.
Oh boy. Nothing about feet.
So guys, if you
That's sports
haven't heard the voice before and you didn't listen to last week, which you should, we have Annie, our resident nutrition coach, on the podcast, and we're going to go over all things nutrition. We've even got some questions that you guys have fielded over the week, which is going to be great. We're going to get those at the end. But what would be a real good start, because Annie's a little bit nervous, so we've got to just like get her to start. Get her to start. Yeah.
What do you mean I'm nervous?
That's when I realised that we're actually recording.
Her posture's just changed exponentially. So please,
do I
in
do with
typical
my hands?
STCfit fashion, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride.
This
Man
helps.
spread.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
absolutely,
this room.
absolutely. Maybe for the listeners at home, give us a bit of a rundown of how long have you been a nutrition coach for, and maybe why you got into nutrition coaching to start with.
Okay. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I got into it. I think the main reason that I got into actually studying was because my boyfriend is a fighter and he was fighting professionally when we started dating. And he would do weight cuts, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on there? Like that is so strange.
So
How
savage.
do you lose like 10% of your body weight in a week?" Like I just found it really interesting. And he was working with a nutritionist at the time, and also he had like studied a science degree as well. So like he kind of understood the science of it a lot. We just chatted about it. I just found it really fascinating. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." That mixed with I've always loved cooking. I've always loved food. That's just kind of been my thing for a long time. So it was also post-COVID. So prior to nutrition stuff, I was doing disability support, and that had been my like career for like, I don't know, 5 years or something like that before then. And then, COVID fucked everything up for the best. And then, we got together. I loved food. The science of it sounded fun. I was like, I'm going to study that. And that's what I did.
And here you are.
And here I am.
So the only reason you did it is to learn weight cuts.
Well, that was
And you
the
liked
thing
food.
that interested me.
So you did 4 years of study. 'Cause you're like, it's pretty nice to. I wonder how the body drops weight in a week.
That was just what interested me, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, like when something like catches my interest, I wouldn't say it becomes an obsession, but I just
Becomes a part of you, like
cool,
the shoes.
next thing. Yeah. Like, I don't know,
Was
Add
that
it
when
in.
the Croc started too, or was that later?
That was much later. These may look several years old, but they're actually about 3 months old.
I bought them on Monday.
Every day.
I have not
Been doing
taken them off.
triathlons in them. Cross country.
All terrain.
Yeah.
Interesting. So does that mean straight out of the bat, like you were working, like were you just like using your partner as like a test bunny?
Pretty much.
It's like, you should do
He
this.
nearly
You should
died,
try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working with fighters at all then?
So,
Is that how you kind of got in?
So then when I started studying, I did it through like SNA, did like the sort of cert thing. And then from there was able to like work with people. I was also at a MMA gym just training myself then. So it was like the first few clients that I had, like before I even had an Instagram, before I even thought about the fact that I should start an Instagram page for my business. Like I was, just working with a few other people from the gym. And like just people that I knew. And it's so funny, like looking back at the way that I worked with them then, it's just these like random like Word documents. Like I didn't have any, like I didn't even have a calorie calculator. So I would just do the equation like start to finish, like write it all out.
Really?
Like,
Which one did you do?
The Catch McArdle one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
If I do it ad lib, I'm just lazy. I'm like, 30
Yeah.
30 calories, 30 calories a kilo for you. Sometimes I'm just I look at them and I'm like, 32 calories for you. Yeah, we'll work it out.
You look hungry.
Yeah, you look hungry. You're a little bit leaner. So
Yeah.
you get a little bit more. Fucking hell, working it out off the.
That's I did everything so inefficiently for the first, I'm going to say year. So the last year's been all right. But.
So what was the main motivations to work with more people? Was it just the fact that like you're already working with like, a few people at the gym and you're just like, I should get more? Like what made you want to?
Actually, a friend of ours who was a PT, he was sort of starting to become a PT and I was like starting out nutrition. So we met up to be like, can we help each other out kind of thing? Like give each other a program, food program, whatever. Also just, help each other out with sending each other comments and stuff.
Build a
Like,
professional network.
he's like, have you got an Instagram? I was like, no. He's like, oh, you should totally do it. I'm like, what? Really?
You should totally do it. I love that.
I was like,
Revolutionary.
Oh, yeah, no one's ever thought about this before. I was the first nutritionist to ever have an Instagram.
I love that.
That was me. I was the one that started it all. and then, working with more people. Also, just working with fighters is incredibly stressful. So I was like, I would like to work with some people who are normal people.
So I'm going to get her in trouble now. So what's the stressful part of it?
The stressful part of it is like they have to be on the gram, like the day that they weigh in kind of thing.
Yeah. So that they weigh in the day before the fight, right?
There's a few different formats. So if they're like amateur, it's more likely to be the day of.
Okay.
Sometimes like 4 hours before. So you obviously cut a lot less weight. If it's the day before, they've got the 24-hour refeed, they cut a little bit more.
Yeah.
But even in saying that though, like a lot of the people that I'd be working with, like I wouldn't accept working with someone with a huge weight cut. I'm just like, no.
What's a
we're
huge
not
weight
doing
cut to you?
Like above 10%. I probably wouldn't even do 10% of their weight.
Okay.
So in the week.
Yeah, so you like, for argument's sake, you'll drop like 9 kilos in a week.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I'm just, especially, unless they're like a super, super high level, then it's like, I don't see the need to do that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. What's I don't want this to turn into like a fighting podcast, but I'm fucking intrigued.
Do it.
Surely there has to be some form of performance detriment to cutting that kind of weight and showing up the next day, right?
Yeah, there is. And it's mostly like probably due to the dehydration.
Yeah.
But also I think that it's hard to say where the benefit and where the advantage and disadvantage is against like being heavier than your opponent and being dehydrated. Yeah. And so it's like it hasn't been able to be like quantified, measured, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just kind of like everyone does it because everyone does it.
Yeah,
you can't be the one guy
yeah.
that doesn't do it, because then
Yeah,
you're
well-
going to get in the ring with someone who's fucking 10 kilos heavier than you, and he's
yeah.
going to.
And there's weight divisions for a reason.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you don't have them, people die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, people die cutting weight. So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Yeah, it's the thing that interested me and got me like into working in it. But now I'm like, I don't hate it, but it's just like I wish it wasn't necessary.
It's a big responsibility though, because if you miss, they've got to do some dumb shit in the hour that they give them to cut the weight for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And then if they don't hit,
Yeah,
they may not
exactly.
fight, or if they fight for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like you've still got all of the other considerations to make that you would for like a regular client, like what their family life is like, what their appetite's
trying to
like,
make it
what
all
their
work.
so you've got all that plus like, okay, but we need to hit a certain weight.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like with all my other clients, I almost try and drive them away from like weight-based goals, because it's like it's okay to have something to measure it from, but I'm also like, your weight doesn't actually matter really. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you can lose 5-10 kilos and be like skinny fat still kind of thing. And
Yeah, you can still be unhappy.
yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
I'm like, weight doesn't really matter that much. And a lot of what I talk about is like, sometimes you might be healthier and happier if you are heavier, but then for fighters, that same thing can't apply, which is really tricky.
Such a paradox
It is.
within your own business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hard.
So
Speaking of fighters, Ben says, "Hey fam, miss you."
Aw.
Why is that speaking of fighters?
'Cause he
Behind them.
Ben's a fighter.
he's a
now.
Muay Thai fighter.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He's a professional Muay Thai fighter.
did one whole class.
Yeah.
We love you, Ben.
Yeah, we love you, Ben. Keep ripping on him, Tam. Keep ripping on him. So outside of the weight cuts with the fighters, you're taking care of like nutrition, everything.
Yes.
So I'm curious, right? Like, what's their degree of, dare I say it, like neuroticism towards like all elements of their training, and does that carry over to nutrition?
With fighters?
Yeah.
100% it carries over.
Yeah.
And I'd say it is a high level of neuroticism. Like, to be successful in that sport, it has to be your whole life. And I think that's what a lot of them struggle with a lot, is like trying to balance life and fighting and trying to like get their head in the right space around like, I have to train 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
I have to train, you know, like
Multidisciplined
10 to
as well.
15 plus hours a
Yeah.
week kind of thing. I also have to make money, so I have to have a job, and I have to eat enough food to fuel my training, but I also have to stay under a certain weight. Like there's so much to think about it. So it's like if you're not prepared to dedicate a whole lot of your life to it, it actually sounds kind of harsh, I just realized coming out of my mouth, but you probably won't get that far with it just because there's so many people that are so dedicated to it. So it's like they'll get to the top, and if you're not kind of neurotic, you probably won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, go Jess.
I was going to say, I feel like that's with any high level sport. though.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
To a degree, because you can be really gifted at some things. And
Yeah, but
they'll
do you
have to
think
try
that
as
people
hard.
who are really gifted do, like, because they don't have to try as hard, like,
Yeah.
do you think that they
They're not
get
as-
there as often as the neurotic
Oh,
ones?
absolutely. No, absolutely not. But
Yeah.
I know people who don't, like, they don't dot the I's and cross the T's, and they still
Yeah.
get.
There's like genetically.
Yeah, because it's like if it comes easy, you're gonna not try and push because you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because who really wants to push themselves? Like, don't get me wrong. There's like the cream of the crop that like genetically gifted, mindset to match, neurotic as fuck, like
And then
willing
on
to.
the top, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get those people that it's like if everything comes easy to them. So if like strength has come easy to them, or like some moves. If someone teaches you a move,
Yeah.
and it takes you like 6 months to do, and this person gets it in like a week, it's like that's not. They practice more.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that person may not train as much as someone like you would.
Yeah.
Or someone else who it takes longer because they're just like, it's easy.
Yeah.
You know?
My partner he'll hate me for saying this, but he's so genetically ungifted. Like,
You just gotta work hard for
athleticism.
everything.
Yeah, like he
So,
was
hey, I
like
get
an
you, bro.
overweight kid.
I get you, man. Yeah.
Like even now he's been just trying to put on muscle for like
Yeah.
the last like year. He's been injured and stuff, and it's just been so slow for him.
Yeah.
But like he's obviously done really well in his fighting career, but he's just
Yeah.
had to fucking grind to get there.
Yeah.
And then he's got friends that don't train, and they're just like ripped just
Yeah.
by waking up and eating sausages every day. Like, it's fucked.
That hurts my soul.
Yeah.
I feel that so much.
Team non-genetically gifted.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think, because you obviously work with like the general population as well.
Yeah.
So maybe before I ask this question, what what are the type of goals and the people that you work with? Because like I feel like the sports stuff sounds cool, and hopefully the listeners, that was really interesting because you have like a specific skill set for that. But now, like working with the general population, like what are some of the things that you do with people that, you know, I guess if you drew a line through your whole group, like what are the most common things?
Everyone comes for weight loss.
Yep.
I'd say 90% of people that are Gen Pop come for weight loss, fat loss, sometimes weight loss. And generally that's where it starts. And then I secretly plan to plant seeds in their brain about like moving away from that in the end. So it's like we start with a weight loss goal because that's what they want and that's what's going to kind of help them stay motivated, and they need to see some results there. But a lot of the time they've been trying to lose fat for a really, really long time, and they actually need a bit of a push the other way to start like lifting weights and gaining a little bit of muscle and that kind of stuff. So I'd say, people come for weight loss, but they also just come because they don't know what to eat. They don't know how to structure their week. They don't know how to eat the right foods. They don't know how to, they kind of know how to cook, but they don't know how to make stuff taste good. So it's like.
Guilty.
Yeah. They don't know what a sauce is.
Mayonnaise? Low fat version? Low sugar barbecue sauce? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So how to cook and make it taste good?
Yep.
Weight loss?
Yep.
Are they're the main things?
And probably time management. I actually have quite a lot of shift worker like nurses that come on board because they're just like
the hours are awful.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Nurses, oh my God.
Is it like one night shift a month?
I think a lot of the time they do like weeks on, weeks off, so that it can like their
vary
sleep
all
rhythm
time.
can
And then
kind
they
of-
have like the transition shifts where one day like they just slowly graduate.
And it just fucks everything up. And like their appetite is fucked from it. Their sleep is fucked from it. Like their metabolism would be just totally like different to anyone else's just because of that type of work.
Yeah, definitely.
They need to get paid more.
Yeah. Doing God's work, aren't they?
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you work with somebody, what's the first thing that you would want to do? So let's say like I'm like thinking about getting a nutrition coach, feel overwhelmed with like nutrition, and I don't really know kind of where to start or what to do. And I see that you're available to help me. What's the first thing that happens when you make contact with you?
So they would book in a call and then we would just have like a chat first, really.
Yeah.
Just kind of vibe check.
Vibe check.
Absolutely.
It used to be quite, I think like at the very start it was quite like formal, and I was like, I had all these lists of questions that I would ask and stuff.
Yeah, we get taught how to do it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. But now it's just kind of like, I think I've relaxed a little bit with like being scared of not getting enough clients and stuff. So it's like, I just want to make sure that we're actually going to get along, you know?
Well,
like,
that's going to help get results, really. Like, you know what I mean? Make your job fun too.
And yeah, I think that like, that's the kind of relationship I like to have with my clients. I find it quite, not like unprofessional, but it's more like, you know, I'm super unprofessional, cross heaps of boundaries. Like,
we've got to keep an eye on this one. I know what she's doing over there.
But yeah, like I don't want it to be super clinical and professional. Sometimes like people that have been referred to me like through someone else might kind of take it that way, and the relationship just needs to be like, I just help you with your food. But a lot of other people, it becomes quite like an emotional connection, and like you're talking about every other thing other than food intake. So I think that it is important to like have that chat first and just make sure that you fit well together. And then from there, that can either then build into like, I can just do the full consult then and there. Like if they have the time, it's like, there's no other, you know, there's no reason not to just go through everything.
Keep going, All right, quick break in the episode, guys. Just wanted to talk about coaching. So we at STCfit are committed to taking your body composition, training, performance, your health and well-being all to the next level. Our experienced team of coaches are ready to help you get the most out of yourself. You don't just have to be a powerlifter or a bodybuilder or an athlete. You just need to be somebody who knows that you have a lot of potential and want to reach it. And you can join the team by heading to the website, submitting a coaching inquiry form, and one of our coaches will get in touch with you. All right, let's get back to the episode.
We'll sort of set some goals, and the goals that we first set almost always change, because to a degree it's like you have to, I don't want to out myself too much, but you have to tell them what they want to hear in the like setting goals with them, but it's like they don't always know that their actual goal is something else than that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So it's like you set the first initial goals, you get some momentum with that. Generally, I would actually start everyone on their like maintenance calories, because it's like you probably haven't been eating at maintenance for a long time and you probably don't know how to eat. You don't know how to structure your daily food. You don't know how to go to the shops. You don't know how to make it work for your week. So it's like, let's focus on all that first for a few weeks, and then we'll start looking at like weight loss or building muscle or whatever. And like sometimes in those first few weeks, it can feel frustrating. They're like, oh, I'm not making the progress yet. I'm like, that is the progress. Yeah. Like sorting out your week is the fucking progress. Like learning how to eat and structure it. Yeah, exactly. It's like you'll go so much further with your weight loss goal if you set that structure first. You've made a huge amount of progress there. And then, otherwise if you just dive straight into it, it's like it just loops around.
Is that something that you would like communicate to them first though? Like it's like, this is what is going to happen at the start here, and it's like this is what you can expect. So you might say to them like, look, we're not, the goal's not really weight fluctuation of a dramatic scale, so we're not going up or down too much, and it is that whole like laying brick premise. And it's like, well, the more bricks we can lay, the more we can push, because we've got this really solid foundation. And then after that, it's like you can take the direction that you want. But it's like we have to do this first,
Yeah, definitely.
And this is a really, I guess, like very generalized. Like we can't pigeonhole everybody. But having worked with a lot of women that do fear eating more food, even though they've been struggling with weight gain for a long time, like understanding that they need to eat more food in a structured way. How long, I guess this is for the people listening that are like, I will absolutely not fucking do that, Annie. How long does it typically take for people to start seeing the benefit of eating at their maintenance calories before you then set the next goal of fat loss or whatever it may be?
I think that because like it's hard to measure, it's not like we have them in a lab where we can measure all their like hormones and stuff like that and see like, oh, okay, like we'll get you
You're
in one of those breath
metabolically
things
ready
and
to
see.
go.
Yeah, exactly. So I almost look at it as more important for behavior than for like actual metabolic adaptation and stuff like that. So I would say like I would start with a standard of like 2 to 3 weeks. And I think that that's enough time to like just settle in a little bit. I think, I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but when someone new comes on board for coaching, it's kind of like there's a couple of weeks of just fucking around. Like you don't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You're still getting to know each other. It's a fresh relationship. You don't really know the ins and outs of their life.
Definitely.
They're not,
They
don't
understand
know
the system.
Like it takes a little bit of time for them to get into the structure. So it's like there's the other thing is if you went straight into a deficit in that first 2 weeks where they're going to fuck up their plan anyway because it's new and it's hard, they're going to feel like they've failed their diet. They're going to feel like they've failed their deficit. Whereas if you just give them a really realistic like goal first of just eating at maintenance, and also you need to understand what their true maintenance is. Also that gets explained to them. But yeah, it's like, okay, if you fuck up a little bit here, you haven't failed yourself, you know? So it's like you don't start with that negative, oh, this is another thing that that's not gonna work. It's like, chill. We're just sitting there.
So I might, just so the listeners understand what's going on here. So when you say you're at maintenance, what is it and why would you want to be there before you do anything else?
So maintenance is referring to the calories that you consume being the same as the calories that you burn. So calories are just a unit of measurement that measure heat energy. So you can't see a calorie under a microscope. It's not a thing. It's not a molecule. Calories are just energy. So everything that we do, just sitting here, if you're in a coma, you're burning calories. I might be burning, say, 1,400 calories at rest if I was asleep. So all of my physiological functions use energy. So there's that plus your movement on top of that, your daily functioning and stuff like that. So just say for me, my calories that my body uses every day to just function as normal is say 2,000 calories. So I need to be eating 2,000 calories so that my body can function and there won't be weight gain and there won't be weight loss.
Of a major fluctuation.
A major fluctuation. There'll still be daily, like scale weight changes based on water and fluid, all those kinds of things. But general maintenance
won't see it up or down in a linear type fashion.
And the benefit of learning what your true maintenance is that your metabolism adapts. So when someone has been eating low calories for a long time, the body doesn't want to lose fat. It goes into like defense mode because evolutionarily we've evolved to be really good at protecting ourselves, right?
By design, that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
by design,
it's
it's to adapt to the environment that we've exposed it to. So if it's an abundance calorie environment, it's got adaptations to do that, which is an infinite amount of fat storage.
Yep.
And if we restrict it the other way, it goes, I'm going to get really good at using...
At saving.
As minimal energy
as possible. So you're going to start like leaning.
And it gets efficient at doing the
up.
same activity for the least amount of energy
calories.
requirement.
Yeah, exactly.
We're amazing.
And so a lot of people, even if they might feel that they are overweight, can still have that metabolic adaptation going on. So it doesn't mean that just because you have body fat, you can't be like running suboptimally.
Yeah,
you absolutely can. And that's what happens when you see a diet plateau. You've been on, where was I going?
The same calories you start at aren't always the same calories you end at because you are going to have that defense.
Yeah, there's hormonal changes that are just there to protect you. So it's like you'll be more efficient. So the same movement for less energy use. You will be hungrier. Your actual hunger hormones are going to change so that you seek food more.
Yep.
And it's going to be harder to stay in your diet.
Absolutely.
And then also your actual energy expenditure will go down because those like
move
subconscious movements.
The urge to move starts to get suppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you can experience that.
Oh yeah.
Like you just know. You just sit more.
Dieting.
You just sit more. You're like fuck. And that's
you drive everywhere instead of somewhere that you might walk.
Correct.
Like you blink slower. You can't even process like thoughts quickly enough to like converse as well as you used to.
Absolutely.
So your body's really good at saving energy.
So being at maintenance allows you to, I guess, like upregulate, calibrate, dial back into what someone's quote unquote like metabolic capacity could be.
Yes.
And then after that, you have much better, I guess, feedback to go, oh, well, let's just drop, underneath this now.
Yeah.
And you'll quote unquote be in a deficit. And then we can accelerate fat loss if we want to after that by making, changes and whatnot, rather than just doing your typical, like, I don't know, just eat 1,100 calories if you're 60 kilos and below.
Yeah.
And you just know that'll hit, but it'll like only hit for so long and it's really hard to follow. And then it causes more mental anguish than, physical benefit.
Yeah.
And then you're playing with a totally different person after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, those are the benefits of like sort of allowing some recovery time for your hormones and your metabolism. And then, just getting that accurate data as well.
Yep.
Because all that we have as coaches and stuff is an equation.
It's all hypothesis.
Like, exactly. Like all we have is a bunch of numbers. We just, pop that in. And like their body composition is going to be totally different to also what you think it is. Even that can only be calculated within like 3 to 5% of accuracy.
Absolutely.
So it's like we're guessing at best.
Oh,
so
100%.
we need to use that guesswork to be like, this is what it should be. We have no idea what we're doing.
Very, 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 very good data points to start with, guys. But you're all a science.
We're just throwing shit at a wall.
You're all you're all your individual science studies. Just like, we have no idea what we're doing.
Me personally, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know about you guys.
Why am I here today?
How have I gotten this far?
Jason's like, cut the contract. Cut the contract.
This podcast is over.
Take it back.
This is going to be sent to you in an email as your exit contract.
But I think, look, as funny as much of a joke as that is, I think the reality of it is exactly what you said, though. It's like it all comes from a hypothetical standpoint that's quantified off like a really like timely data over decades. So we can sit there and be like, oh, well, someone...
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's like, oh, someone this body weight, on average, should burn this much.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're right there, bro?
That was a cute little cough.
Yeah. I thought that was Jess. I was like, is she dying? Or...
Adorable, Tam.
So someone this body weight should roughly burn this much at rest, and then you add your physical activity.
And it is generally pretty accurate too. Like it is always ballpark, and like unless someone's been dieting for ages, and it might be like totally different. That's
agreed. And then there's always going to be people that sit either side of the bell curve, though.
Yeah.
And that is where the system and the method is what personalizes it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because anyone can go on the internet and you can go, caloriecalculator.com, macrocalculator.com, bit of a tongue twister there for me this morning. And then just pick something and then just like match it up with a diet and go, cool, I'm going to follow.
Yeah.
But then it's like you don't know if you're at that maintenance calories. Like you haven't spent a bit of time to kind of see if that's worth it. You don't even know how long you should be at that period of time because I would argue that the history of the dieter would indicate how long someone stays a maintenance for if they're willing to buy in.
Yeah, it's like it's such a fine balance of like what they should do. If this person came to you and that person was literally just numbers, then what you would give them would be completely different to what you end up giving them as a human.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like,
even how long, like
yeah.
Like I know anecdotally, especially working with women, if they've had weight issues and nutrition issues and they've been chronic yo-yo dieters, it's like I've seen 3 to 6 months of just being at maintenance and not actually talking about calories too much has been the most effective way for them to own their body.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about like that true freedom that comes from, your body and nutrition, like I've seen it time and time again. I'm just like, if you are willing to relinquish the diet behavior of like, I'll be skinny next week, or I'll be lighter next week, and go, right, for the next 30 years, I'm going to take control of my body.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need you to just 3 to 6 months. Like the goal is just for you to start to feel better and perform better.
Yeah.
And I've seen it now, like time and time again. It's like these people just have total control of their physique.
Yeah.
And it's not, they don't have to count every macro and calorie forever.
Yeah.
But it's just a period of time. Get your body healthy. Stop talking about how much you weigh.
Yeah.
Get that
Stop weighing yourself.
Shift the worth somewhere else.
Yeah.
To other elements that make, or other more important elements that make you who you are. And then it's like, I'm just going to just give you a little bit less. Yeah. And then it just falls off.
Absolutely.
Just absolutely falls off them.
I think like you can say with confidence, like when it comes to clients that are willing to, they're in that state where their readiness for change is there and they're willing to trust you.
Yeah.
The clients that I've worked with that 3 to 6 months is a really nice timeline as well. The people that are willing to do that, you can say with 100% accuracy every single time, they will absolutely look better, feel better, and get the best results in like even the 2 months after that. Their body will change more than it's ever changed in their life. Like they're eating carbs for the first time ever without guilt. So their muscles just filling out and they're looking in the mirror and they're like, damn, like I actually get to look like this.
Yeah.
I look like I've lost weight. It's like,
it's like you look leaner.
Correct.
Like
and all you've done is eaten a carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Slice of bread can do that. Yeah.
And what people don't realize is like when you talk about calories and maintenance and stuff, like that's the maintenance of the mass.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the mass can change in composition.
Yeah.
Especially if you have someone who's like, like the people that typically come to you, like they've been in the gym maybe 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
They've tried to like train and, kind of tried to lose weight and stuff and hasn't really worked out. So like anyone like that, who you're 1 to 3, I would argue 1 to 5, who hasn't trained with like proper detailed structure, like a plan, resistance training, bit of cardio, they will respond just from eating at maintenance and having a program like that.
Yeah.
Their body composition will change, but the mass won't change.
Yeah. Like
so they'll decrease body fat, increase muscle mass. It's like you look different.
Yeah.
And that's where you were like before. It's like, maybe we should move this person away from the scale because they're going to put all this work in and be like, I'm not making any progress.
Yeah.
Deem it unsuccessful based on one
on the
metric.
Number. On the number,
Yeah.
So you want to, I mean, I know like we obviously just went left off the cuff of the maintenance calories things, but I just think like when someone has a chronic history of poor diet behavior, when I say poor, I mean they don't understand why they eat. They're just following one diet after another, and they've never actually ever been able to consistently keep the weight off.
Yeah.
That person shouldn't do a 2-week, 3-week maintenance phase and then start dieting again.
Yeah.
Moving into a deficit again. It's like that person actually needs to lay the bricks.
Yeah.
And lay lots of them.
And consider like just, that maintenance should become their normal life.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like a period that they're waiting until they can diet next. It's just like you should learn how to just eat food and just be strong.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then maybe eventually down the track one day you might want to lose a little bit more fat kind of thing.
Yeah, just
But
take
it's
control
like-
of your nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
like
then
everyone's life
eat a
will
little
be
bit
better
less.
at maintenance.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, this, you can interject if you want to ask another
How
question.
dare you ask questions on my podcast?
Rude.
I am the host now. Can you see my crown?
You don't have your throne. Sit down.
Baby came too quick. I couldn't order it. It wouldn't be funny if I did it the second time. So
Yeah,
the joke's
true.
over.
You could edit it on first one.
Yeah, Tam, can you just put a crown on my head, please? Thank you.
AI, that shit. So hypothetically, somebody's listening to this podcast and they're not really in a position where they're wanting to reach out. They're not feeling comfortable enough to reach out to a nutrition coach just yet.
Yep.
What is some advice you would give to that person that is the chronic dieter that's scared of food, that is starting to understand that their behavior and their relationship with food is a little bit, it's the reason why they're not getting where they want to be, like that lack of knowledge as well. For that person listening, between now and potentially reaching out to you, what advice would you give to that person to start making those positive changes, like from now?
I actually think that one of the biggest things would be to choose a performance goal. I know that that's not a like nutrition specific thing, but I do think that that would be a really cool place for a lot of those people to start moving away from that. Not to move away from what their goals have always been, especially if they've been dieting for a long time and they're probably quite concerned with weight, with the way their body looks and stuff like that. So I think that one of the most positive things that you could possibly do, if that's where you're at, would just be choose a performance goal and really focus on that. Like choose a run, like choose kilometers that you want to get, or choose a lift that you want to get really strong at, or, anything, or choose, maybe you want to compete in a Muay Thai thing, Ben, or anything like that, choose something like that to kind of just shift your focus to be a little bit more positive and a little bit more like, let's see what I can do, rather than just let's see how much of me I can take off kind of thing. And then more nutrition wise, the advice to anyone would just be focusing on the protein 3 to 4 times a day. You want like the size of your palm. Everyone's hand size is different, which is really convenient because if you're a bigger person, your palm's going to be a little bit bigger. So it's probably going to change to you and be a bit more accurate. So palm size serving of protein like 3 to 4 times a day at least. And then just a lot of veggies. You want lots of color. You want lots of fruit and veggies and some like starchy carbs. And I wouldn't give any more advice than that. Just kind of like
So
fill your
simple.
plate. Yeah, just fill your plate with like take the government plate and eat that
Healthy eating
a few times a
guidelines.
day. Yeah, and don't take out anything. I wouldn't say to anyone like, "Oh, okay, I want to eat healthy, so this week I'm gonna cut out all junk food. I'm gonna cut out all ice cream and chocolate." It would just be like, if you focus on including all those other things in your diet and making your plate look really colorful on this side, having some protein here and some whole grains here, then your brain is going to be less focused on all those sweet, like hypercaloric foods anyway. So that's going to be like a secondary, unintentional response to just feeding yourself more. So choose a performance goal, eat more protein, whole grains and veggies and fruits, and do not even think about any of the other foods, about restricting them, whatever. That will come down naturally.
Yeah, it's that whole like purple cow thing, right? So because you only think about purple cow when you say it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I go, I'm not having this, and this, I need to avoid this, and this.
Yeah. All you
It's
can
just
think
like
about is that.
embeds into your subconscious of like, well, it's the magic fruit, right? It's
Yeah.
like that we're not allowed to have.
Yeah.
Like, where if you just like focus more on like, this is what I need to do.
Yep.
And this is what I should do. You'll do more of the positive behaviors and less of the negative ones.
Yeah.
It is
absolutely.
Such a simple way of thinking.
It's arguably the easiest way to begin to heal a relationship with food as well. Like understanding that these two things can coexist.
Yeah.
You can feel good. You can still eat those foods and you can actually be like a lot healthier
Yep.
and training better.
Yep.
And as you said, you're going to be ticking these boxes and naturally over time with all the hormone changes and everything like that, those foods are going to be there and you don't have to have that mentality around, well, if I'm eating healthy, that means not eating this chocolate and ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like I bought a jar of Biscoff spread this week and like currently eating in like a bit of a surplus. That Biscoff jar is so safe in my cupboard. Like I put it in my smoothies and it tastes really good. But like a little while ago when I was eating, it was kind of like a rough maintenance, but I actually think I was under eating for a little bit. Like that jar was not safe.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't eating
'cause they
enough.
always
So
say,
it's it's a hormonal change in your body to seek more food. So it's like you see the most like calorically dense food and you want it. And
tastes good
people
too.
always think it's like, oh, I don't have enough willpower and stuff. It's like, that is your body trying to survive. Like that's a good thing.
Well, it's that in reinforcement of like, because when you eat palatable food, you get there's a food reward system. So you'll get this like,
massive
dopamine hit, and then your brain remembers that. So when you look at the red and white jar, that's like, hey, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You like that.
Yeah. So you like that shit, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So then it's like, huge influx in calories, delightful in taste, and then you've got less suppressing hormones saying don't eat and more elevating hormones saying to eat. That's not the greatest scenario for someone.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have a really good diet to start with.
And that's another reason why it can be hard for people to go straight from like always dieting, having a kind of shitty relationship with food, to like seeing a nutritionist and going straight into a deficit is like, okay, if we go straight into a deficit, we can't practice all those like happy, fun, have food around me and not feel totally out of control things. Like if you put someone straight into a deficit and say, but also you can have like Nutella in the cupboard, they're like, oh, no, I can't. I can't have it. Like it's not safe.
It's the same behaviors with accountability that is only going to make somebody feel further guilty. And I think people think that having a coach there is going to solve those problems for them. But it's like, I'm so sorry. A weekly check-in with me is just going to make you feel worse about yourself if you haven't addressed these things first. And I think that's where that trust and readiness to change in having a coach is like, I'm not telling you to eat at maintenance because I don't want you to have a good before and after picture. I'm telling you to do this because nutrition is almost entirely behavioral.
Absolutely.
Do you think so? I agree with everything you just said. Both of you. Well, I have to play devil's advocate being the host because people are going to be sitting there like, this and that. So you hear about like kind of controlling your environment and, using friction and, setting yourself up for success. And if someone had, issues with, something else, let's just use alcohol because it's easy, and they wanted to avoid drinking alcohol, maybe that person would take it out of the house for a period of time to restrict the urge to have it. Now, you guys are obviously trying to get that cohesion of like, you can have this and you can have that, and it's just about spending more time over here. Is it viable for someone to maybe create an environment though where they can't have the things that are maybe trigger foods and pushing them in a bad behavior direction? Because I even know for myself, like I just buy what I eat.
Yeah, correct.
And so when I go to the cupboard, it's like, what am I gonna eat? It's like, it's rice crackers, it's cereal, there's never like a Cadbury block. There's never ice cream, and it's not that I can't stop. It's just like, I'll just eat it.
If it's there,
I'll just eat it if I'm hungry. I just wonder when's the best time? I guess the question would be then, is there ever a time to create an environment where you avoid those things altogether? And then when would you try and mold them together?
I think that when it's almost crueler to the person to have them in the house and have that temptation when they know that they can't have it. Like, for example, if it was a fighter who had a certain date that they had to make a certain weight, and like having those calorically dense foods is just going to make their life so much harder, make their cut worse, all that kind of stuff. That's when I would say it's a pretty good idea to not have foods in the house that you can't eat. Although some of them have really funny behaviors where it's like when they're cutting, they'll go to the shops and they'll hang out in the candy aisle and just read the packets. Like they just want to look at it, they just want to touch it, kind of thing. So that's a whole other thing.
That's kind of fucked up.
They all have their thing, or like they'll just watch other people like eat.
I used to cook
on
other
Instagram.
people's food when I was competing or like getting shredded. I used to cook people the food I wanted to eat. So I'd be like, hey mum, do you want pancakes? Or like Steph, I'd like cook her a schnitzel, and I'd like sitting there and I'm like, fuck, this is messed up, man.
It is. It's so funny how
I think sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, I think like I don't coach fighters. And in my instance, like especially now coming out of the festive season where people have had those calorically dense foods, like
chocolates and stuff.
Everyone got a favorites box, right? Like we all got a favorites box in our house.
We're down to the shit ones.
Yeah. Turkish delights left. Don't come for me.
They're the first ones. They're the first ones to go, man.
Yeah.
Oh no way.
Love that shit.
So I think that initially, depending on the severity of the restriction that person has experienced in their life, like I think having those foods around, if they're still going to go nuts at them, things like that, like, yes, that's going to be really difficult. I tend to move away from having them in their house and having them easily accessible, because even being like, oh, take them out of eyesight, if somebody's really struggling, that's not going to change anything for them. They know the food's in the house and they're still just going to go for it.
Yeah.
I like to work in, like, I'm not a big believer of cheat meals or anything like that, but I like to say to somebody,
Where's the fun in that? No, I'm kidding.
well, I like to say to people that are in that period of transitioning to tracking more food than they're typically used to, I will say to them, why don't you go out and make an event of having a meal that you feel like, or a dessert that you feel like. Like if you feel like having ice cream, go take your partner, take your kid, take your friends, go out on an ice cream date.
You're not restricting the food, you're just not having it in your house. Like you still have the
So
permission
you only
to
have
go
to
and eat it.
You'll have one. Like,
it's about
most of the time you'll have just like one.
Yeah,
You just
serving.
buy it and they give it to you. And you don't go back again. I have more.
I think it's the concept.
I'm just trying to act like I don't.
Sure, me either. I think it's the conscious consumption. It's when it's that unconscious consumption where it's like the binging, like well, I'm just going to, every time I walk into the pantry, I'm just going to have a handful of lollies because they're there.
Yeah.
I think when you remove that and say, you know what, you can have that food, just go and buy it.
Yeah.
Just go and make an event of it, and you're creating this relationship where the dopamine's not only coming from the food, it's coming from the experience as well.
Yeah.
So that's like one way that I like.
Absolutely.
That's one method that I like to go about
There's no
it.
blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that you hate when a question gets asked and you say, oh, it depends. It depends on this and this. But I do think that
I don't hate that. It's just like I'd like it if someone could give them an experience of like what they would do after that.
Yeah.
So I hate the whole like it depends and we just move on.
We move on. Yeah.
It's like it's just a lazy way of talking.
It's
like I'm an educator. I'm going to say it depends and move on. It's like nah, bro. Like give
a
people
bit more.
something to at least like use as a strategy.
Well, I think
Absolutely.
it depends on the person, especially for like this situation. Like some people, you just have to get to know them, and you have to you just have to ask them, how much would this scare you, and then you can kind of make some decisions based on that. And I think that's a great option for some people. It's like you have permission to go out and eat food. You have to tell them to give themselves permission to eat what they would like to eat, and it not be based on numbers and stuff like that. And even that in itself, when I first kind of heard that or learned about that, I was like, oh, that sounds like horseshit. But like for a lot of people, it genuinely is really helpful to just be like,
Because then the
I
anxiety's
can
gone.
eat this whole block of chocolate if I really want to.
Yeah.
And then I can move into making the decision on, would that actually feel good or not? No, it wouldn't feel good. So why would I do it,
Yeah.
But also there's actual studies done on getting over food, like not binging necessarily, but when it's like certain food items that have a really high value
trigger
in your
foods.
brain. Yeah. So it's like you take them away and then that value gets higher for the person. And then you give about a 200 to 300 calorie snack per day of that food, and that value just drops. So like I love chocolate hot cross buns. And when they first come out, like I'll eat a whole packet that day.
January
like,
1st.
I fucking love them. Yeah.
It's usually when they get dropped.
In the calendar.
Yeah. It's like straight after
Like
Christmas.
they're my favorite. But now it's like, so I don't ever restrict myself from eating any foods. I'm like, even if it means that one week I'll have like a shittier week and maybe I eat Macca's and fucking heaps of hot cross buns and I eat KFC. It's like, it doesn't matter, because that means that for the 12 months I will eat really well, because I'm not going to be up and down and up and down. I'm just always pretty good,
Yeah.
So it's like, if I want to eat that whole packet of hot cross buns that day, I will. And then like the next week I won't, because I'm like, I'm over them, so it takes away. And also like they're missing for like half the year and I think about them every day. And then they finally come back, like the ultimate government restriction of my hot cross buns.
It's like May the 1st, a last hot cross bun. Like, I'll see you again in 6 months.
Cryogenically freeze.
I've actually heard some people say, so like if you have one block of chocolate in the house, you'll eat the fuck out of it. And then, but if you had
10?
7, if you bought 10,
its value goes down.
The significance drops, because it's like instead of buying,
I think
like
it was a
Ben
study
and-
with marshmallows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the kids one as well, where they're like, they can't hold off. It's like you can have one marshmallow now and I'm going to leave the room, but if you wait, I'll give you 2 marshmallows, and all the kids just like eat the marshmallow.
Yeah,
they're like,
of course,
"Can't wait."
yeah.
There's that one. I swear
I
there's
don't trust
another.
this person.
Literally.
He's gonna leave like my dad did.
He's just going to the shops like
Sounds
that.
I want to get milk.
Sounds like a guy stands for nothing. I'm taking this marshmallow.
This turned to a daddy issues podcast.
Hey, no, let's not go there. I'm not prepared for this. All right, I've got my notes.
All right,
I've
next.
got my notes and my notes only.
Yeah, there was one. I think it was marshmallows as well, where they were like hyper exposed. So
Yeah.
anytime a person wanted it, they could have one.
Yeah.
And it significantly decreased that value in them to the point where it did take a few weeks and obviously could be longer depending on the person's like history and hormonal
course.
status at the time. But it just decreased the value. So it's
Yeah.
like that, cool, maybe, having it around in abundance. Once again, it all depends. on-
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's
like-
a strategy, yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
If you don't want people to be like,
We've gone...
I'm just going to buy like 8 tubs
and
of ice
because
cream.
it doesn't work for everyone.
Agreed.
And
We've given a few different. We've given a few
Yeah.
different strategies
but
here,
I
depending
think
on the spectrum.
But the take home for that and the beauty of that is that you need, if you are someone that like, is overwhelmed and is not making those leaps and bounds in the right direction that you want to, like,
Remembered another one. Carry on. Sorry.
you've got your black book of strategies that you implement with people. So we're not sitting here going, this is how you do it. Like even last week on the other pod, we were like, there's like 30 diets.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's about finding a way for one person to decide, I'm going to do this particular way of eating for a period of time, and then move to this and move to that and move to this because I can.
Yeah.
And I know I can do it, and I should, and I know why.
Yeah.
Having someone in your corner that can support you with a strategy to overcome your intricate obstacles is essentially how you overcome the shackles that get kind of put around you from nutrition as a symptom of diet culture and as a symptom of poor information, as a symptom of your own value towards yourself.
Yeah.
So there kind of is no one, like what I'm trying to say is like, there's no single one way to do things. No different to like how we all do the same program and we don't get the same results.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Training program, sorry.
I know that you probably want to move on from this point, but I just remembered my most like middle of the road
You can stay
kind
here
of
forever
option
if you like.
that I kind of would do. Like if I have like a Gen Pop client and like their diet history isn't terrible and they're kind of okay, right? Like the general thing, because most people, I would say, have some sort of feeling of like loss of control around like hypercaloric foods, like because they're delicious. Like
they're
we're not
designed.
made to be like around this much abundance of like sugar and fat. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's designed to taste good and it's designed to look fun.
yeah, exactly. It's like as humans, like we want to
We're
consume
doomed.
that shit. Yeah, we're absolutely doomed. So like the other kind of option is to just incorporate some of those foods into full meals. So for example, you love chocolate, make overnight oats and have some Nutella or a little flake on there. So it's like you're having the food in a way that's actually really satiating and filling and satisfying, and you don't feel restricted because you're like, oh, this is a fun breakfast and I have chocolate. But it's also not just the chocolate on its own that has that huge like reward, and you're hungry because you haven't eaten all afternoon, and then you're just like, I'm actually trying to fill myself up with this food. You just kind of sprinkle it on top. Or you have like, I always put paddle pops in people's meal plans because they're
Are they
like
like
an average ice cream.
Aren't they like
99.
50 calories?
70 calories
Yeah.
like a stick,
there you
right?
go. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like they're good, but they're not so good that you like need to get another one.
Yeah,
like,
because they're not like overly
it's
high
not
in
like
fat,
a
overly.
connoisseur's
Yeah,
or
'cause
like
Yeah.
a Maxibon where
it's the
I
combination
get
of the macros that makes it taste good.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have fat, salt, and
They're just
sugar,
like sugar water.
together, and you're like, yeah, well,
Water.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
People like sit there and like maybe think that foods that are high in carbs aren't actually like they're the ones that make you want to eat more, and it's
Yeah.
not necessarily the case because like it's usually the most hyper palatable foods are sodium, fats, and sugar together.
Yeah. So,
So
like
that-
chocolate.
yeah, or like a
salted
cookie
caramel
or
chocolate
something.
Yeah.
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 Or that ice cream that's basically like a bunch of bits.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
really hungry.
Encased in
I'm
some
really
milk.
hungry now.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let's go.
Nah, your
binge
boys,
on-
your boys in a surplus. I'm over food. Just like, I could eat again.
done.
Fuck. All right, we'll move on from there. But I like what I thought would be fun, well not fun, but like good to know as a listener.
There will be no fun.
Yeah, it's not a fun podcast. Quick break in the episode, guys. If you're looking for more information on how you can look, feel, and perform better, head over to our website. Take advantage of all of the content that we have there. Even the YouTube channel, there's plenty of videos and stuff on there. Also, rotating free resources that you guys can access completely free. Okay, let's get back to the episode. What are the three biggest things that you see people missing when it comes to nutrition straight off the bat? So it's like if there were the three biggest holes that across the board with every person you work with that you see, what are they?
Vegetables, fruit, and water.
Vegetables, fruit, and water.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the
I would
things
have
that
thought
people are not
protein
eating
intake
enough.
would have been the first one.
I mean, yes, but I think that protein intake's the easiest one to get people to increase like straight away because it's like you just be like, okay, eat this, this, and this.
Can we put
for your main meals?
Can we put
Let's do 4 then.
veggies and plants and fruits together?
As one, yeah.
Shit that grows in the ground and on
Yeah,
trees.
yeah. Plants, not enough plants.
Yeah.
Everyone is not drinking enough water. Sleep, actually. If we're going to put, I mean, obviously protein too.
Got to eat it.
Yeah. Okay,
Alright,
fine.
they're the rules. of
Protein,
this.
plants, and
Look at
water.
her. She's like, get some more sleep, you dogs, and do this. And go fucking 30 minutes of exercise
for
a
a
day
walk.
as well. Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah. So plants and veggies and fruits, water are the big
You're right
ones.
that protein is definitely like people are missing it, but yeah, if you're talking like longer term things that people have difficulties increasing, it's the plants and water the most rather than the protein.
Doesn't
Because
that taste
protein's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a flavor thing, right?
Yeah, like getting people to drink cordial with a little bit of salt in it, I found is like really good,
Yeah, to
like game
hydrate.
changer for people that just forget to drink water because the salt makes you thirstier. So it's like you also retain the fluid better, but it's like if you're someone that
Turning it
just
into an
never
electrolyte.
drinks water and you don't really like it, put some salt in there so that you actually want more. So
Come to STCfit where our nutrition coach Annie will gaslight you into changing your goals and the way you drink water.
that's all I do.
I love
And
that.
it's a good coach. It's a good coach at that.
So how would you get someone to eat more plants and fruits?
I make them taste good. So like
Tell
the way that I
tell
do,
me. I need help with this.
the way that I do meal plans, and I know that a lot of people don't actually like meal plans, and there's a lot of coaches that are kind of against them because they think it's like too restrictive and it doesn't allow for like flexible eating and stuff. And I do see that, but I also think that getting someone to track calories is just like it might consume their entire brain and it might not be good for everyone. So I like to do meal plans in a way that they are flexible. So it's like, here's your main meal. You need to have 200 grams of a lean meat. You can choose which lean meat that is. You need to have 150 to 200 grams of mixed veggies. Again, you can choose what they are. And then I give you a bunch of sauce bases that you can like mix it all up together with.
Yeah.
So it's like, you blend the sauce in with, you blend the
Blend the
veggies
veggies
in
and
with
the
the
pasta
sauce,
sauce.
or
Ah,
you
yeah.
like that kind of stuff, or just people aren't actually used to cooking stuff that tastes very good. Apparently, I didn't know that until I started doing this.
If it ain't a seasoning that I
Yeah.
can just shake on the meat,
Yeah,
I'm fucked.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I've given people some super basic recipes, and they're like blown away.
Those
I'm
oven
like, huh.
things,
Oh yeah, they're good.
I was like, hey, how the fuck did you find this out?
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
Instagram.
Yeah, but I was like, I didn't even know it could happen.
Yeah,
you could just
I
put
know,
all
right?
those raw ingredients in a
chicken
tub
and
and just
shit.
put it in an oven.
Yeah, have you made one yet?
I haven't because I had to go and find that and I
Yeah.
just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah,
And then I
fair
just like had chicken. I just had chicken and rice.
And then I had chicken and rice or mince,
And then I
frozen
thought-
mixed veggies and rice with barbecue sauce.
I fucking
That's actually how I get people to eat
I ate that instead.
If you don't have that in your meal plan, I would be shook. That's
Yeah.
like the
It's actually like
quintessential.
it's mince, rice, and then like the peas, carrot, corn. This is why I never tell you guys what I eat.
Yeah,
I
that's-
eat like a fucking
To
sad
be honest,
person.
I eat like that
Yeah.
quite like often, but it's that in different sauces. But it's literally just
Yeah.
like minced rice and veggies, but like
mine
many
alternates.
different ways. Or it's like minced pasta and veggies. Or
Yeah.
it does alternate, I guess.
So I want to come back to the meal plan thing because I feel like I'm a big advocate of meal plan.
We like meal
You like a
plan.
meal plan?
Yeah, I don't mind a meal plan. So I like this is the way I think about meal plans. If you gave a child a credit card and went to the shops and you said buy the groceries for the week, the kid's going to go there and he's going to buy a bunch of fucking sugary shit, energy drinks. Probably come home with a Prime.
Dear God,
Probably
no.
got broccoli hair.
Broccoli hair, prime, yeah.
Dangly earring.
They're gonna go to the shops and not have an understanding of what to buy, so they're gonna buy whatever they think.
Yeah.
So if you give someone who's inexperienced around nutrition, has poor behavior, and you give them the reins on how to spend their nutrition money, we'll call it,
Yes. Yep.
they're going to fill that with a bunch of stuff that's probably not the best for them.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you gave that kid a list of stuff and you're like, hey man, can you go to the shops and buy this for me?
Yep.
Or for us? He's going to do that and he's probably going to buy a Prime and a chocolate bar on top, but he's going to get the things that he was supposed to get. And I feel like nutrition is very similar. You go, here's your list to eat day to day, but then you go, these aren't hard rules.
Absolutely.
So if you go out for work with your partner, if you go out for lunch at work and you can't control the food that's being there, this is how you make the best decision, and this is what you do next.
Yeah.
Skip the meal that on your meal plan and just eat the next one.
Yeah.
So you're giving them these abilities to change what is on that piece of paper, but you're never sitting there going like, these are the only 21 foods you'll ever eat.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where they go like wrong with meal plans. But yeah, it's like the meal plan is actually just teaching you structure. Like that's all it's really doing. Like that's why I like them so much, because it's like what are the 3 things you need to change a behavior? You need the capability, the motivation, and the opportunity.
Sure.
We believe the 3 things, right?
Yeah, it sounds good.
So it's like I think that giving someone a meal plan gives them as many of those things as you can with it. Like a document, right? So
Absolutely.
It's like you give them the capability because now they know exactly what to buy and exactly what quantities and how to cook it. The opportunity is like it decreases their time spent shopping because they just know exactly what to buy. So it's that, and then the motivation is like, well, I believe that these things are going to be easy enough to do, so I'm more motivated to do it now because it seems possible because I have the opportunity and the capability to do it. So it's like, it's not so much that this meal plan is going to be like every perfect nutrient to the gram.
Yeah, and it's not revolutionary either.
Yeah. It's just like your lifestyle and your habits are going to form around this, and then you can chop and change the foods in and out of that as much as you want. Really, I'm teaching you how to go to the shops and and cook it.
Yeah. I think what's like one of your favorite like concepts or quotes is like the gap between like anxiety and confidence is competence, basically. And I think like the greater competence you have in terms of nutrition, obviously the more flexibility that will be allowed.
Absolutely.
Like that's where you have, here are your calories and your macro splits.
Yep.
And then the less exposure to that knowledge and the less understanding, you have to add a little bit more direction in.
Yep.
And like obviously at the top of that would be your meal plan, which I think it's just so much more than teaching how to eat. It's even understanding what to eat pre-workout or like adding
It's one of the questions.
adding those concepts in, like how frequently should I, it just answers so many questions that slapping macros and calories that somebody's not going to fix, because it's not going to change behaviors. They're going to be fitting the same foods that they're currently eating into this and wondering why they've still got 70 grams of protein to eat at 8 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm such a huge fan of teaching that. And it's so easy to just be like, they're like, hey, Annie or Jess or Jason, I'm really sick of eating this. And you're like, cool. So see that calorie allowance for that meal?
Yep.
You can actually sub out that for what you want. So if you search on MyFitnessPal and you find a quantity to change that, which then goes into flexible eating.
It's like you need the both. It's like the meal plans and structure. It's like that's learning your basics, like your ABCs. Like this is how to eat in a day, this is how to structure your life. And then it's like then you learn the fancy numbers on top. Like what you're actually eating is 40 grams of protein in this meal. You could also get that from this and this and this kind of thing. And then they learn the numbers and it builds. And then by the end, they're like, oh, cool, now I know how to eat. Like
And that flexibility can go too far as well. Like, let's be real. Like, decision fatigue is a thing.
Yeah.
So-
Some people do not want any choices.
Well, if you got a family, you got a high-functioning job, like you're just a fucking adult trying to survive. Sometimes making a decision is like to what to eat, which you have to do 4 to 6 times a day. It's like, fuck, man, I'm over it.
It's enough to make you not make that choice.
Yeah, so they're just like, I just want you to tell me what to do. And then you get these like, these trainers or coaches or nutrition coaches like just stuck in their method, and they're just like, no, you can't have a meal plan because there's shit and they're this and they're that. And it's like, have you actually thought that maybe the person would benefit from removing the decision fatigue around what to eat? So it's a real needs-based thing, and you can have that fluidity. And it's like, cool, like maybe on the weekends, like learn how to track on Saturday and Sunday and just hit these numbers. But for the rest of the week, if you agree to eat these foods, by all means, like go and stick to this, prep your food in advance. Or maybe gold standard moving forward is you make your own meal plan based off the macros, and we kind of just sign off on it to see if it's got enough veggies and enough plants and enough of those things. But I just think these like hard rules that come in nutrition are like sometimes the problem for the people, when it's like at the end of the day, the needs analysis would assess and give us an indication of like how we actually ebb and flow with a strategy and a method for somebody.
Yeah, and it does change for me, like client to client a lot as well, just based on what they need. Like some of them do say like, I don't want to think about it, just tell me exactly what to eat. And in all fairness, I do think that that person may end up being dependent on you for longer than someone else who is happy to have a bit of trial and error and kind of go on their own a little bit. They're going to learn more. They're going to learn how to be more flexible with it, and it's going to kind of last them a bit longer. Whereas the person that does say, just tell me exactly what to eat, yeah, they might depend on you a little longer, but they might just have no interest in learning. And so they never were going to learn anyway. So the options were get a nutritionist or eat like shit forever.
Yeah.
So it's still a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Are we good? You good? Are we good with everything? I've got a couple of questions.
More questions? Oh boy.
We got questions.
Okay.
So put it out to the listeners during the week. Let's have some questions for our nutrition coach.
I can't believe you didn't let me pre-screen these.
Easy. So first question. What's a good pre-workout meal? So obviously the questions we can make them a little more specific. So maybe instead of like what's a good pre-workout meal, because you could just say like cereal and protein.
Yep.
What would constitute a pre-workout meal? Like what would you look for rather than like a specific food?
A pre-workout meal, you'd be just looking for enough carbs. And I think it depends on the type of workout. I didn't used to think that, but now I do. Now that I lift a bit more compared to just doing like Muay Thai. So like Muay Thai, you're like jostling around a lot, right? Like your gut gets really uncomfortable really quickly. So for that style of training, I'd be saying have like just say you're training in the evening for the purpose of this. Say have like your breakfast, lunch, and like a late afternoon snack, and have them veggies, whole grains and protein and all that kind of stuff. Yep. And then about 60 to 90 minutes before your training, I would just be having carbs, sugary carbs. So like really easy to digest. And I wouldn't even stress too much about protein before that. You just want the sugar. So like if that's like rice cakes and jam, white bread and honey.
Is that for like the cardio session, like the conditioning?
For like a more cardio thing,
conditioning workout.
Because it's just like it's easier to digest and you really
and you're
just
moving
need to
around
top
a bit
up the
on a
blood
full
sugar.
gut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for that kind of thing. And I used to kind of sort of prescribe that same template for people lifting as well. But now I actually think that you can probably have a bit more of a full meal before lifting. Yeah. I don't know if you guys agree.
You need a bit of protein in there.
Yeah, a bit of protein and a bit of, so like keep it really low fat. So what you want before your session is sugar in your blood and not a whole lot in your gut. So foods that are going to slow down your gastric emptying, your digestion, is going to be fiber and fat. So you want to avoid fiber and fat. You don't want whole grains. You don't want like veggies and stuff right before
the meals
training.
That they tell you to eat all the time.
All the time. I like to think of it as like two separate windows. It's like have your healthy whole grain vegetables and all that kind of stuff, and then your training window, eat like a kid. Eat those sugary foods like light milk and Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
And,
So when you say sugar, because people are going to be like, I have to have tablespoons of sugar.
Yeah.
Why do you say sugar, and why do we need it, and what, like, because you're thinking it's like everything breaks down to sugar, like when we eat carbs. Just to explain to them so they're not eating brown sugar like before they go to the gym.
So sugars, as in more simple carbohydrates, like think of things that are white, that are more processed, are going to be easier to break down because they're kind of already broken down a bit. So sugars and carbs differ in that simpler carbohydrates are like a single sugar molecule, and then more complex carbohydrates like brown breads and stuff are like multiple sugar molecules all like bound together. So to break them down into the sugars that you need, it takes a lot more energy and time for your body to break it down. So simpler sugars like maple syrup, bananas,
your sports drinks,
and things
dried
like that.
fruits.
It's like they're pre-digested almost, right? So it's like they're just single
quicker.
sugars to get in there so that they can be absorbed a lot easier.
So you want whatever you eat pre-workout, you want that to digest quickly so it's in your bloodstream to help support your training.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And then so resistance training, like heavily, like you want to make sure you're having carbs and protein.
Yep.
And then if you're doing a conditioning session that allow, like, do you think that's still predicated, even like not having the protein and like a lighter meal? Do you think that's still person to person?
I think it's person to person, but I also think that it's okay to have your protein after.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. Well, that was the next question. So the next question kind of flows on from there, which is kind of why I asked them like that.
Nice.
So this window post training.
Yeah.
I used to
Anabolic window.
Yeah, so
30 minutes, get it in.
So
don't leave the gym without protein.
I used to think, last rep, fucking protein shake there, like
Yeah.
smacking it down. It'll maximize the gains and all of that stuff. But what are we trying to get out of that meal post training? Like, what are the main objectives, and like what kind of window are we actually working with?
You're actually working with more like a 24-hour window.
Yeah.
However, after the first 3 hours, there might be like a slight drop in like muscle protein synthesis stimulation and stuff. So what you want post-workout is to refuel your carbs and your protein the most, because you're more susceptible to your muscle cells are ready to like slurp up sugar after you've exercised. So you want to get sugars in straight away.
Because it's highly likely they've been depleted, right? And
they've been
they're more
depleted, and also
sensitive to
just like
uptake.
the receptors are at the it's all ready to
receptors
yeah,
are
exactly.
ready
They're ready to take it in.
Put the lab coat on, guys. Let's fucking go.
So your muscles want the nutrients after it, but also the protein thing is because your muscles have been stimulated. They're ready to slurp up protein. They're more susceptible to muscle protein synthesis. So you want a decent dose of protein after your workouts to optimize how much new muscle can be built.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that it's that 30 grams of protein.
The amount,
and that you can't absorb anymore. Do you guys hear that a lot?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is it worth going over that?
Well, we will go there after this. So just for the guys at home, we've trained. It's beneficial to have a meal with protein and just carbs. Like, do we avoid like
I would in
a
that
bit of fats and stuff?
especially
Like,
if you train often, I would avoid fats and fiber in that
the
first
uptake
session
again,
because
is getting
like you
there
just
where it
want to
needs
get
to
it
go.
in, right? Like all your
Love
cells,
that.
they're ready, so it's like give them
Yeah.
what they want first, and then go and get your nutrients after. So I like that window around training before and after to be like eat like a kid, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, a really easy explanation that I've heard about like peri-workout nutrition is like your pre-meal's preparative. So it's like think about the task, and it's like how do you get the most out of that task? So if you're an endurance athlete, it's heavily influenced around carbohydrates, like you said, and then if you're cardio conditioning type workout, if you're doing any form of strength and power activity, you do kind of want to lean on protein.
Yeah.
And if the duration of that cardio and conditioning session is prolonged, you probably still want to take a bit of protein into that meal.
Yeah.
If you're doing, and then if you do a weights training session, it's like, or strength and power activity, it's like it's protein and carbs.
Yeah.
But then the post workout meal is predicated on influencing two mechanisms. So you've got muscle protein synthesis, and then you've also got muscle protein breakdown.
Yeah.
And those two things run independently of each other. So your muscle protein synthesis rate can be facilitated, like you said, with those frequent meals out the day. So you don't have to sit there post-workout and go, fucking slam down the protein. If you had a pre-workout meal with protein, it takes like 3-4 hours for you to need another one.
Yeah.
So you don't have to slam that down for that.
Yeah.
However, what you can do is have a meal post-training that would blunt your muscle protein breakdown. So it depends on, like, the way I see it is there's no detriment in doing it.
Exactly. I totally agree. And I think that
So it's like, what?
like, is it neurotic? Maybe, but it's also like, but if you have the time and the capacity
Absolutely.
to do it. Like, there's no harm in doing it.
Agreed.
If it doesn't if it like messed up your family life or something, to do it, maybe don't do it.
Yeah, it's
maybe
like,
don't stress
I
about
spent
it.
my last meal post-workout and it's 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and I'm hungry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
fuck, you
So
fucked
it's
up,
like,
bro. Yeah.
it doesn't have to fully dictate everything you do in your life, but there is absolutely no harm in getting the most benefit out of every session.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not do
That's
it?
Yeah.
optimal. Yeah. Optimal versus realistic.
Exactly.
If you've got the opportunity to grasp optimal,
Yeah.
why the fuck would
Why
you do
not?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So with the protein thing, people do sit there and they're like, well, there's no point eating more than X amount of protein. So 30 is usually the magic number. What's the deal with that?
So that figure, so people think that you cannot absorb more than 30 grams of protein in like a sitting.
Yeah.
So when you eat food, your stomach mushes it up, turns it into like its individual parts, and then the absorption happens in the gut. So your gut can absorb huge quantities of protein. I think only 5 to 10% of the protein that you eat is wasted. The rest of it is absorbed.
Yeah, because it's like the energy.
Yeah,
that
it just
takes
break it down.
To break it down,
is what
and
you
then
lose, right? Yeah.
and some of it will just be bound to like fibers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They might not make it.
Poor
R.I.P.
Rest in peace,
all those little aminos didn't make it. Minute silence for these guys. Wasted
Could have been gains. But yeah, so the actual absorption isn't really the issue. Then that number came from mostly studies that are on single leg exercises in like young healthy men, right? So the studies that they're talking about with the 30 grams of protein thing is that up until a dosage of 30 grams of protein, you're seeing an increase of muscle protein synthesis after exercise.
Yeah.
Beyond that 30 grams, you don't see much more of an increase. So like your ability to synthesize new muscle is
to maximize.
saturated
Yeah,
at
yeah.
like 30 grams. But a lot of those studies were done on just one muscle. Yeah. So they now think it's like, okay, but when you do a full body workout or when you're huge, maybe there actually is a little bit more. So that figure kind of moved up to about 40 grams. And then in like elderly women, it's looking more like 60 grams of protein. So
I think I've seen like 100 grams. Like just recently they did like 100 gram serving. And like,
so it's like those, it's not
go
that
somewhere.
Still benefit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's like whatever is not used for muscle protein synthesis is just turned into sugar and then used for energy anyway. So it's like before, like you can overeat protein and it can turn to fat, but it's got a lot of work to do.
Was it like lipogenesis or whatever? It's like
like eventually
it's going to take it's a lot of things that have to happen.
Yeah, like
for that
it
to
goes
line
to your
up.
muscles, and then if your muscles are like, no, we're good, then
gets
it turns
converted
into
to
sugar,
glucose.
and then it gets turned into glycogen, and then if your glycogen stores are full,
It's like,
then it will be fat. So it's
poor
like
protein.
it's
It's like knocking on all these doors. Like I just want to be something.
That's what I mean.
And it's like, and the fat cell's like, we got you, bro. No discrimination here. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I think and that's maybe one of the other questions I had is like, what do you want to see? Because that's like going all in on like one thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is it. It's blanketed 30 grams. And then you see people, to this day talk about it. And, even like, I can only have 2 eggs or whatever. So it's like, what's one thing that you would like to see change in the diet industry, nutrition industry, diet culture?
I feel like coaches have a really big responsibility. And I think that there's a lot of information out there that people can get now that's quite easily accessible and quite easily understandable. I don't know that lack of information is the issue. So I think the information's there. I think the influence that people have on other people is the issue.
Yeah.
So I think that anyone in like a position of influence over someone else, that's kind of where the biggest change could happen with like, just the general population just like eating better, like someone that they look like the influencers and the fucking celebrities and all that with all their bullshit. It's like people look up to them. They eat bullshit stuff, so these people are going to eat bullshit stuff. You have like a 14, 16-year-old kid that started competing in Muay Thai and his coach says, I want you to cut 5 kilos in a week. And it's like, you know what I mean? I think it's like that. You're kind of doomed even if that kid was quite smart and they had a lot of knowledge, but their coach says, I want you to do this.
Yeah, the influence is going to...
So I kind of feel like, even though I actually don't feel like that answers the what do I want to change in nutrition, I do think that would make a huge difference if people of influence took a lot more responsibility over the shit that they say.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Just not being a scumbag.
Not being a scumbag, just...
Well, to bring it back to that question, kind of, for the people listening, which may not be coaches, how do you think that they can fact check or who...
ChatGPT.
What do you think people...
Don't do that, please.
What do you think people should be doing when they're taking on nutrition information then? So how to know whether they should trust it or not?
If they want to know if they can trust something or not, then a good place to start is just understanding how science works, knowing that just because something is in a study doesn't necessarily make it excellent information. So if you were to get a general understanding of like how science works and the hierarchy of evidence, knowing that there's the shittest level being like what other people say based on nothing, and then you've got all the way up to the top.
Observational evidence.
Yeah, and then you've got like meta-analyses and stuff, right? So not everyone's going to go and read these fucking
PubMed articles
based on like every little ingredient. But I think that being more sensible and just understanding that like if something sounds radical, it's probably bullshit, and that the food that people have been eating for like hundreds of years is probably your best bet for just like general health. So like meat,
basically-
vegetables, whole grains, you know.
So basically, if they're not recommending protein, plants, whole grains, and drinking enough water,
drinking cordial and salt.
it's
Eating biscuit.
probably
I don't want to say that it's bullshit because again, God, it's so layered. Like I don't have a clear
I'm
answer for anything
poking
because
you.
it's
I'm
so
poking
layered.
you.
But it's like there's good information, and then there's the person who will have better success with a diet from going keto because they can stick to it
yeah.
and they are eating more like
It's a
nutritious
consistent.
foods.
Yeah, and the consistency is going to get the outcome right.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, the general, I think like the more boring the nutrition advice, the more accurate it probably is.
Yeah. And obviously,
is
if
a good
anyone
place to start.
ever has any questions, they can obviously go to Annie and ask them about them if they are interested in following a diet or have some nutritional information.
Yeah.
She's your go-to.
I'm your go-to.
Slay.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing for time, Tam?
Oof.
Yeah. Wait.
Hey.
Stop talking. We're going to go right now.
Shut up.
All right. So we'll wrap it up there. For anyone at home, how can they, if they want to, interested in working with you, want to maybe just have a look, like where do they find you?
Just on Instagram, what's my thing? AnnieMac_
Nutrition.
performance nutrition. I gotta make that shorter.
Yeah.
But jump on my Instagram. You can DM me. You can book a call. It's free to book a call. I'm always up for a chat in the DMs.
www.stcfit.com as well /nutrition, and you'll be able to get there too. All right.
Yay.
That was fun, guys. All right. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.